Hi, hello, I'm Kylaneko, and today we're going to end up going over the distribution CachyOS. And in this guide, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to go over this gaming distribution that uses Arch, by the way, and I'm going to show you how you can install it. This will be different than my other videos that I've done. This will be me showing you how to install it. I already have Fedora Media Writer all the way over here. We're going to go ahead and load up and go ahead and grab CachyOS. We're going to go ahead and click on download. And you're going to choose your desktop edition. Once you choose your desktop edition, you're going to go ahead and wait for that to download and for it to go into your downloads folder. In the meantime, you could choose your flavor of how you can write your media to your USB drive. Right now, there are current options that are mostly recommended to either use the terminal command, give yourself the idea of writing the ISO file in terminal if you really want to use that. Your other option for writing your ISOs to a disk or even putting them on a disk is Ventoy. Now, some distributions might actually have problems with Ventoy, but the idea is you put a bunch of ISOs on one USB and they will all load up and boot up just fine. Now, people have told me not to use Balena Etcher because Etcher has been known to, track what files you're doing and all that stuff. There is another program called Yumi. You can create multi-boot ISOs. This is also like Ventoy, and I've known about Yumi for a while. So Yumi is a program that you can load up and you can put images on it. If you're on Windows, you can use Yumi. If you're also on Windows, you can use Rufus. And when you go ahead and use Rufus, it's going to also provide you with download links to be able to download and get everything working as well. Right now, as of this video, there's still no Linux version of Rufus. I'm pretty certain Rufus is a good one to use. But for what we're going to use is we're going to use Fedora Media Writer. You can find Fedora Media Writer in FlatHub, or if you're already using Fedora. But normally, if you're going from Windows to Linux, you're going to use Rufus or Ventoy or Yumi. The reason why I'm showing it like this is because the other videos I was only telling you about it rather than showing you how this is actually getting done. So in this video, I want to kind of change it up a little bit to show you how you can actually get the install process started. So, seeing as we've already chose how we're going to be writing our ISOs to our USB drive, you then have to grab a USB drive. Any SanDisk USB drive will work. Any USB drive that is at least able to write files to the specified amount for the ISO is also acceptable. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and you can either download automatically if you're already on Linux, but we're going to go ahead and select the ISO file. I'm going to select the SanDisk Cruiser Glide. We're going to find the ISO. It would be in our downloads folder, the CachyOS. I'm going to hit open. We're going to write it. I'm going to put our password in. And if you're on Rufus, you don't have to do all this stuff, but this is what I'd really prefer to use if I'm going from Linux to Linux distributions. I have found that this also works pretty well. In some cases, I have used Balena Etcher, but I would probably urge people not to use it as much, unless it is your final choice to use, because of basically the controversy surrounding Balena Etcher. I've had multiple people on videos now tell me not to use it. So I would say only use it if it is your very, very, very last resort. It is still a program at the end of the day. That is basically it. But most of the time you should be fine with using just Ventoy, the terminal command line, Yumi, or even Fedora Media Writer if you're moving from Linux distro to Linux distro. I know Fedora is pretty solid, and once everything catches up, I might end up switching my streaming PC to Fedora. It really just depends on what's going on. And I'm, pipe dreaming here with that kind of stuff. But it really just depends on what's going on with the whole Linux landscape. Now, recently, apparently NPM got hacked, and that's not good. But hopefully they're able to get that taken care of, and it's not going to be too much of a problem for people. I just know that, you know, the Linux landscape is pretty decent when it comes to, you know, for people taking accountability on stuff. But yeah, this is going to go ahead and write. There is another YouTuber I have watched, and they love CachyOS. They are by the name of AirMax. I was watching with Thero. Don't at me. I watched AirMax, and AirMax is one of these creators that I really enjoy watching. So, you know, if you go to their videos, they do benchmarking tests and everything like that. This is basically how I started to learn Linux, and I guess this is basically how people are also finding my channel as well, because where I'm introducing you to Linux distributions, and it's creating this chain reaction where more people are actually getting into it. And actually, CachyOS is so good. Thank you for that, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to, like, you know, you could use CachyOS without using any terminals at all. You don't even need terminal for CachyOS. The proof is in the pudding right here. So yeah, I mean, you know, if you like Linux and you wanted to start taking a look into things, you know, you can look at AirMax's channel. If you're wanting to look into Vtubing or even getting started on a lot of things, you can look into my channel. I also want to let people know, while this is currently writing, that I also have an Odyssey now. So, on Odyssey.com, you can actually find me there as well. And there's a reason as to why I've done this. It's because I don't entirely trust YouTube right now. Because if we go ahead and take a look at YouTube, and we go ahead and click on restricted mode, well, it does something really weird, where the fuck are all my videos, you know? It's just not something that's really good. And it's definitely bad. Like, most of my videos are just gone. I'm glad, like, at least one of the Linux videos are still showing up. But it's a really bad thing to even deal with. YouTube claims it's the ad blocking, but I can guarantee you that it's not. It is how they are coding their website. It's how people are doing stuff. It's all this censorship bullshit that I just don't like. But if you do have it off, you can see all the videos. But if you don't want to use YouTube to watch the videos, you can go to Odyssey. You can type in my name, Kylo, and I guess, yeah, it's just Kylo. You will actually see my videos listed here. Granted, there's only one follower, so if you use Odyssey, please follow this channel. But this will be a near representation of my YouTube channel. I will try to keep them in parity as much as I can. I do have another channel that I want to upload my full playthroughs to, and I also have to rework my my stream archive, but that's besides the point. Not only can you find it here, I also use the Fediverse. So the Fediverse is a decentralized network of social media apps as well as video platforms, and one of them that I use is Spectra.video. And with Spectra.video, you can actually type my name in. I think I put myself as Kylo BT here. And here I am. I have 5 subscribers. This has a little bit more to it, but it's still, you know, it's still the same thing at the end of the day. I still have my videos here. They are a little bit out of order. It's just how PeerTube does it. But they are available on PeerTube as well, because I cannot, for the life of me, I'm being serious about this. A lot of people will start uploading their videos to YouTube with the expectation that they'll never lose their YouTube accounts. There has been reports where people's YouTubes have been getting hacked. That means all their hard work goes to waste. If you end up putting it on other platforms like Odyssey, PeerTube, even, you know, once Rumble starts to get done with all their controversies, maybe Rumble, I don't know. For now, you know, PeerTube and Odyssey seems to be fine. you want to make sure your content is at least available to people still. At least that's the way I think about it. Because if I am in a situation to where, oh no, my YouTube somehow got compromised, well, people will still be able to watch my videos on Odyssey. People will still be able to watch my videos on PeerTube. Because that's all I care about. I want people to make sure this information is available to you. That way you're not in a situation to you're like, oh my god, what can I do? Where can I watch this video? And you're going to, anybody who's watching on Odyssey and PeerTube, you're going to also see this video as well, because I'm going to try to upload them around the same time. But this is just basically where we're currently at right now. Now, I do have to, do a few more things on Odyssey to, create playlists and stuff like that. I don't really care too much about the crypto bullshit on it, but I do know it's at least a decent enough platform to upload your videos to. That way, in the event that you have a problem with, YouTube, for example, with how they're dropping the ball on a lot of things, you can still watch it on another platform. So making it available is probably the best thing you can do. That is for anybody who's a streamer, anybody who is a VTuber, anybody who just who casually uploads videos to YouTube. Also put your eggs in other baskets. Put them on Odyssey, put them on PeerTube, fucking put them on Rumble, I don't care. Put them on Dailymotion, Put them on other websites. Because in the eventual day, either YouTube's going to do something really bad, and a lot of people are going to lose their channels for no reason and lose their Google accounts. There's technically a Google account attached to it, that's a topic for another day. But you want to make sure that your information is at least available to people in some way, shape, or form, whether you're making money off of it or not. I'm still not partnered yet. I still have a lot of time to be partnered. I know monetization happens on Rumble and Odyssey. I know that is the case when it comes to, letting people have information, let alone, the context of gameplay and stuff like that, or even Linux tutorials. I know other people who have Odyssey, has an Odyssey account as well. One of them I talk to every now and then. It says Brody Robertson. Brody has one. Brody's had one for a while. Odyssey can give you decent amounts of views and stuff going on. I'm pretty certain if I click on this latest video, there's going to be comments on it. Yeah, there's at least 2. So there's sort of an audience for people like this. Yes, YouTube is currently in the state where they are doing a bunch of experimental things. Lately, they're also going to be doing things with streaming. It's actually going to be better than what Twitch is going to offer in the grand scheme of things, but it still requires you to be a partner and all that stuff. So they kind of make it harder for you, and you're kind of in a rock and a hard place with that kind of thing. But those are all my gift subscriptions. I got gifts. But yeah, back to the main thing. So since we already have this already finished, I'm going to click on finish. I'm going to close this out. And then we're going to go ahead and switch to the other computer. And we're going to take the CachyOS drive that we just used with Fedora Media Writer. And we're going to plug it into the laptop, or into the other device you're using, or even into the device that you are going to be updating to, or switching from Windows to Cachy, for example. And now I am in CachyOS. I'm going to go ahead and just hit enter. And it's going to eventually take me to the place I need to be. And yes, this was a long rant, but I do want to make sure people are at least aware that yes, I do have content in other places. No, I'm not leaving YouTube, at least against my will. YouTube and Twitch will always be the sites that are going to be huge right now. But it's also good to put your eggs in other baskets too. That way, in the event that Twitch and YouTube does happen to disappear, you could then, get that taken care of appropriately. But yeah, it's going to go ahead and initialize everything when you're going into CachyOS. And, it doesn't go without saying that if you're going to be using Linux, you need to have the expectation that not everything's going to work out of the box, but a lot of things will, and 95% of things just do. If Linux didn't work for me, I wouldn't be using it right now. Starting next month, I think around the 21st or the 16th, I can't remember, Windows 10 is going to end on like the regular Pro and Home versions of the Windows 10. Now, your upgrade paths for that, right now, your upgrade paths for that is you either need to buy a new computer, because your computer probably can't support Windows 11, find a way to put Windows 11 on it, or you will be forced to seek out the LTSC versions of Windows 10. That might give you a couple more years, but granted, you're going to be stuck on a specific version of Windows. Keep that in mind. Now, if there's any sort of glitches or problems that you have, well, you might not be able to use your computer as much. But if you're on Linux, you're going to be you're still going to have like a lot of things working for you. You might have alternative applications that you can use. I've been using Linux for almost 2 years now. It's been over a year at least. It's going on 2 years. But if you're going to end up using Linux, you need to have the expectation that a lot of things will work, but not everything will work. And the things that don't work are not very much right now. The things that don't work are literally just the anti-cheat games and maybe some programs here and there. But a lot of that stuff can be worked around using the UEMU launcher, Proton, Wine. Use a lot of things when it comes to using your Linux distribution. Every emulator has a Linux version as well, except maybe Arcadagia, which is different. Linux is also available for Steam. It's also available for Discord. And you also have like other apps you can use as well, like Winboat. You can use stuff like, which is a new app, and you'd be able to use like compatibility layers like bottles and all that stuff. Art programs, you might be able to get Clip Studio Paint to work, but that is really just dependent on a lot of things. Let's see here. Make sure the display configuration's proper. Okay. Yep, Okay, so now we're on the installation. Welcome to CachyOS. We, the CachyOS developers, hope you enjoy using CachyOS as much as we enjoy building it. So CachyOS is the easiest Linux distribution to use. It had dethroned EndeavourOS, which I'll eventually do a video on. But CachyOS is very likely the best performing distribution that you can use. Now, you have the option of choosing your bootloader. If you do not know what to choose, I would suggest choosing either Grub or Systemd. In my situation, I'm choosing Grub. This is the first option available. It's going to be the easiest option available for you. And it's not going to have the possibility of breaking like Refined can, whatever the fuck the AI SDK is. I have no idea what Laminier is, but we're going to click Grub. We're going to go ahead and just let that go. And it's going to go ahead and proceed to continue to move the installer forward. Welcome to CachyOS. So you choose your language. I'm going to go ahead and wait for the module to happen. You have everything hooked up to Ethernet. Plugged my system up to a power source, so come on. Next. Alright, we're going to choose that, and we're going to go ahead and choose the disk that we're not using, because this has Linux Mint on it. This has whatever the fuck this was. So we're going to go ahead and replace the partition with CachyOS. We're going to, choose Btrfs. I would suggest if you're going to choose any file types on a distribution when you start installing stuff, Btrfs or ext4 are probably your best bets. What I do on any distribution I choose, the main drive I'm using will use Btrfs, and then everything else will use ext4, because ext4 is genuinely a universal thing you can use on any Linux distribution. So, we're going to click on Btrfs. We're going to scroll down. We're actually going to erase the disk. So we're going to erase the disk, and we're going to click on Btrfs. And hit next. And this is where you get to choose your desktop. You actually get different different examples of which desktops you can choose. So you can choose Plasma, you can choose GNOME, XFCE, whatever the fuck this is, Bungie, Cinnamon, Cosmic, which is the new OS. This is a new one you can use. It is still in beta. The i3 Window Manager, Hyperland, Neri, which this is what Brody uses, LXDE, LXQT, Mate, OpenBox. It actually doesn't look that bad, honestly. OpenBox looks pretty fucking dope. Qtile, Sway. A lot of people like Sway. Might be your thing. UKUI, which honestly, this doesn't look bad at all. It's actually, this kind of looks like Cinnamon in a way. Yeah. UKUI just looks, Uki looks kind of like Cinnamon. I might have to take a look at that at some point. Then you have Wayfire, which I don't know what that is. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to choose a default. You also can choose no desktop, but I wouldn't do that. But you have, you know, we're going to go ahead and just choose Plasma. You have your other options here. I just know Plasma the best. Yeah. Hit next. This is where you get to choose your, you know, you can add additional desktops. So if I wanted to try out Uki, which I'm going to click on that. So you can also install Cinnamon to it. It'll give you all your packages. You can add printer support, HP printer, there's accessibility tools. If you want to add those, you can. You can hit next. And this is where you add your name and everything. So you're going to type your name. Here. You're going to go ahead and choose your password. And you're going to hit next. You're going to hit install. Hit install now. And it's going to go ahead and install everything. Now, with CachyOS, this would be my other option if PikaOS would not work. No joke, I would probably just be using like an Ubuntu-based distribution or Fedora on my streaming computer. And I'd probably just be using CachyOS or Bazite, even though I know Bazite is immutable. Be either CachyOS, Bazite, or NixOS on my gaming computer. I want to make sure that, like, if something happens, I have options, which is always a good thing. And that's the thing that you don't get from Windows. Windows is doing away with options. Way back in the day, you can get options, like even in the Windows 7 era, you can get bootleg versions of, Windows. This would be technically your options. Now it's, you have maybe some custom ISOs you can use, but Windows genuinely is not an amazing experience long term. At least at the present moment, because basically where everything's going with Windows right now, which is, why I would recommend people to move to places like CachyOS, PikaOS, Nobara, OpenSUSE, Linux Mint, anything basically. I don't even care if you use Zorin OS. It's Linux at the end of the day. Or if you just use Base Arch, by the way. But, that's basically where it really ends, ends and begins. Like, I've had people tell me, oh, you're just going to make your life harder using Linux. Like, that isn't how Linux is nowadays. Would I use a distribution like Gen 2 as my day-to-day driver? Fuck no, I wouldn't. That shit is hard to install. At least when I tried to do it. And, yeah, it's just, that's basically my experience with Gen 2. But everything else has been fine. Like, if I was going to go install Base Arch, well, my options are either used to an install script or to go through the documentation. And, if you just grab an install script and install it, and it just installs just fine, you're not having that problem. That's the cool thing about Linux. You can basically do anything you want with it. I genuinely keep things, for the most part, default, because I do like stability in my distributions. I don't want to mess with things too much. but everything seems to be working fine as is, so I'm not going to worry about it. One of the things I would recommend doing, and I'm probably going to make a video on it, it might not be as long of a video, but I'm going to have to go over a video with Linux Mint Debian Edition. Now, the Linux Mint that I went over was based on Ubuntu, but Ubuntu's changing their packages to Rust, which on paper it seems, oh, it's amazing. Rust is amazing, and there are Rust apps that are good, like, you know, like Cargo and stuff like that, or Rust up. But right now they're facing a lot of difficulties, and it's actually performing worse than C++, which is really weird. The way I think about it is, if you're going to make an OS, you want to make it good and having, you know, optimized performance. And at the current, you know, rate of things, Ubuntu might not be the best thing to use if it goes worse than what's going on. Now, if you're going to still use Ubuntu, that's fine. Go ahead and use it. Use what you're comfortable with. But be aware that Ubuntu does have a history of problems. Now, if you're using like a distribution like Linux Mint, please update your Linux distribution. I've had people basically tell me that they were trying to get an app to work on Linux Mint, and and they were still on 21. Update your fucking distribution. You don't have to, but you should. I always say this, you don't have to update, but you should update, because if there's a new Linux distribution out for your current hardware and it's going to keep everything fresh and pretty good, just update your hardware. If there's an actual issue with it, don't update and wait until they fix it. But with Linux Mint, genuinely, there's literally no issues with that distribution, other than the fact that it's using Xorg over Wayland, which is just basically how they have everything working right now. Even though in practice, Wayland can work on Cinnamon. You can even put Plasma on Linux Mint, maybe even get Wayland working that way too. I don't know. There's a good possibility that you could do that. But you gotta take into the account of what you want to do at the end of the day. If you just want a computer that's gonna work, if you don't want to have problems, use any of the distributions that use optimized defaults, like CachyOS, like Nobar, like Linux Mint, like even NixOS can have optimized defaults, but there's another distribution coming out called GLF OS OmniSlash, and that's going to be a optimized default version of NixOS, which is something I do want to go over at some point whenever they do have an actual official release. You can also technically do this on Bazite. I was scrolling through, and I may have said this before, but I was scrolling through on YouTube. I was looking to see if anybody was using Linux, because I got curious, and I noticed somebody was using Vtubing applications on Bazite. So yes, you can do it on Bazite. I'll eventually do it myself. And eventually we will end up taking a look at SteamOS. But if I had to recommend anything for somebody starting out, just wanting to get their toes dipped into the water before they go and start looking at other distributions that kind of are just a little bit further out there, but not so far out there that it's an issue, start out with either CachyOS, Linux Mint, or even Zorin OS. It's terrible as I'm saying it. Zorin OS is not a bad distribution for you to start to learn things, because Linux is definitely a learning process, but it's also a thing that you don't have to learn so much that it's going to break you. It's so much that you have to learn how to use it like you would learn how to use Windows in a similar fashion. It's not exactly the same, but there are a lot of things that are similar. I've seen videos of people saying that they had like a week-long battle with Linux until they finally understood it, because it nearly broke them. And then I've had some people who started to use Linux and they're like, "Oh shit, this makes sense. Makes nothing but sense." And now people are on Linux, they're streaming on Linux, they're playing games on Linux. All I'm talking about is Linux. So like, since we're done with the installation, it's gonna go ahead and reboot. I think it's gonna end up taking us to the CachyOS side of things to install everything. Okay, so now that we're finally in CachyOS, I think the issue that I was having was because I was already using Grub with Linux Mint, it was creating boot problems when trying to load into CachyOS. So what I did is I loaded up Refined Boot Manager, and it ended up bypassing that issue. So now we're currently in this boot manager here. So what we're going to go ahead and do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on Apps and Tweaks. And we have things that we need to enable. So we're going to go ahead and enable Cache Update. You want to make sure your system's up to date. You also want to make sure that it's going to also ping you to make sure it's up to date. I'm glad that they added this. Everything else, you kind of don't have to... I mean, you can use RAM for browser profiles. Take a look at each of your options. Now, it does also use Pacman, which is pretty fast. You can tune your system network. Okay. So, we're going to click on System Update. And we're going to go ahead and let this do a full system upgrade. The first thing you should do, I think there's nothing else to update because it might be on here. Install gaming packages is the next thing we're going to do. And it's the same thing. You can click on one or two. Just, you know, go through it all, hit yes. You want to make sure your system is going to remain up to date. Okay. Then there's snapper support. What is snapper support? No idea what this is. Okay, so... Okay, so now we have this. There's a CachyOS package installer and kernel manager. Click on the kernel manager first. We are currently on 6.7-2. Well, 6.16. Okay, so we're basically on the more recent one. CachyOS package manager. So here are the packages you can grab. What we're going to grab is we're going to... We already have Firefox, doesn't matter. Yeah, you can grab things like Discord if you want. Development, games, graphics. You can grab stuff like GIMP if you want, Krita. We're gonna look for OBS. We're gonna grab OBS Studio. We're also going to, we have Steam. Yeah, we have, I think we'd have Steam anyways. I'm just gonna hit install. It's gonna go ahead and just install the packages. Oh. Okay. Packages are installed. Not really much else we can worry about with that. Go ahead and just close this for now. Let's go ahead and click on our start menu. On games. We're gonna go ahead and click on Steam. I'm gonna add that to the desktop. I'm gonna also install Steam. It's gonna then sign you in to your account. Also, what you can do is you can go ahead and load up your web browser. Pull up the Linux guide to Vtubing. Again, I'm showing you proof of concepts for things like this. Keep that open for now. We're going to go ahead and grab the ip.txt file. We're going to download that zip file. We're also going to grab Vtube. PNG tubing. Again, you can use any other PNG tuber program if you want. I prefer to use this one. Download that. And also grab VC Face. You can use this in any of the programs like Bottles, August Launcher, provided if you can get them to work. We're just gonna put them through Steam because Steam seems to make it work pretty decently. Outside of that, we're also going to take a look at FlatHub. We want to make sure Flatpaks are available. Setup. CachyOS listed. It's not, so I'm going to assume, well, yeah, CachyOS isn't listed, so it's probably by default. So we're just going to go ahead and grab Face Tracker. Grab Face Tracker. Did this ever get updated? No, it didn't. Alright, so you will have to pull up your terminal for this. So for this to be console. Go ahead and put here. Okay, so we don't have Flatpak installed. I'm gonna go ahead and install Flatpak. Copy paste this. Genuinely, we do not suggest using Flatpak. Well, I'm using it anyways, so I'm gonna install it. Anyways, so go ahead and install Flatpak. Got a sudo pacman s Flatpak. Go ahead and do that. Because we're going to need that for Face Tracker. This Face Tracker is a Flatpak package. I do think you can build the package, but it's much easier just to use the Flatpak. So we got that done. I'm going to go ahead and grab Face Tracker again. And go ahead and open up console again. Copy paste. It should now show up as green. It's going to go ahead and install. Hit yes. Now install Flatpaks. You know, Flatpaks are pretty good anyways, the way I like them. So, you know, they work. Okay, so this is installing. Okay, alright, so the installation is complete. So now we will be able to see Face Tracker in our list of things. We may have to restart our computer. Yeah, we may have to restart. Yeah. Close that. Restart this. You know, sometimes when you're installing Flatpaks, it might just not immediately show it up. So you may have to restart your computer. Alright, we're going to see if Face Tracker's here. And it is. So yeah, you will have to restart on CachyOS for Flatpak apps to show up. Go ahead and click on Face Tracker. We're going to keep this program open for at least 2 programs. Click on the UVC compliant camera. Change it to 30 if you want. Wink optimized and hit that. It's going to go ahead and just run the set on that. I'm going to close a bunch of things out, but we're going to keep the guide open. And we're going to go and minimize that. We're going to go ahead and boot up Steam. I'm going to go ahead and just log us in. It's going to pull up everything that we need. And it's going to have CachyOS as being like available to use. So we're going to have that. We're going to go ahead and pull up VTube Studio. Go ahead and install VTube Studio. And I believe that there is a version of Proton installed. Yep, there is a CachyOS Proton package. Now you can use this, but I would still recommend using Proton 9 because it just works. So we're gonna do that. Also, let me see here. So we're gonna let that install. I'm gonna go ahead and download everything that needs to download. Go ahead and get our other files ready. So we're gonna go ahead and extract all these files here. Go ahead and extract everything. This will end up going into our streaming assets folder. I believe Fuse is installed. Yep, so VTube Studio will work. And then we can just put VC Face through Steam and show that working as well in a minute. But we're gonna go ahead and do that. So we're good on this. So let's install. And yeah, I mean, you could pretty much use any app that you want as far as VTubing goes. Like, it's not gonna take you $10,000 to become a VTuber, right? You can get by with using an RX 580. You could use 32 gigabytes of RAM. You know, just as long as you have enough graphics power to do it, you can do it on a single computer. Linux is typically better at handling drivers and stability as well as performance overall, so you will get a few extra frames out of things when you're trying to like stream and everything like that. I would recommend if you're starting out streaming, you want to start out with at bare minimum maybe just a computer and a computer and a microphone, and of course you're going to want to have a headset. So maybe get like one of those cheap microphone headset combos. Maybe get yourself some sort of office computer and throw a graphics card in it to start out with. Everything. Make sure you have at least an adequate amount of RAM. 32 is usually recommended to stream on. 64 is also pretty decent if you can get a hold of it. Try to have at least a small SSD, maybe a hard drive to put your games on, at least starting out. That way you can at least guarantee that you're getting things working. So since we have this pulled up, we're going to go ahead and click on properties. We're going to go ahead and go to the guide versus VTube Studio for OBS. I'm going to grab the game capture. I'm going to assume game capture is installed. If it's not, we can always install it. But we got game capture here. Go ahead and start game capture. I'm gonna go ahead and load up OBS. Okay, does not look like game capture is installed on this, so be aware of that. So what we're gonna do, it doesn't look like game capture has been installed yet. Because game capture isn't installed. So we're going to go ahead and load up the packages. Grab the package manager. What's in the repos. Okay, so OBS VK capture is right here. So if you're having an issue, go to your package manager, type in OBS, and you'll see these here. Go ahead and grab VK capture, You can grab these 3 if you want, just for good measure. But you want to have game capture, because game capture is a must. So go ahead and click install. Hit OK. Type in your password. Hit yes. Then it has installed correctly. So now if I go to OBS, it's just that easy. You go to OBS, you should see a difference now that game capture has been installed. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. We're going to go ahead and allow transparency. It's going to go ahead and capture any window. Keep that open. Go ahead and launch VTube Studio. Go ahead and let it download everything that it needs. This is as easy, if not just as easy, as using CachyOS, in my opinion. If not, it's a little bit easier to... no bar is easy to use too, but no bar is a little less easy to use in comparison to CachyOS and Cachy. Because CachyOS has like a lot of design philosophies from both OSs, which is pretty good, which is why I use it. Because it's also a pretty good thing that's like out of the box. But, you know, if you just go into your repos, you pull up what you need, you don't even have to use the terminal, with maybe the exception of Flatpak. And even then, I think you can go to your even then, I think you can go to your CachyOS package manager. It will let me pull it up. Come on. Oh my god. CachyOS package manager. Okay, so it booted up VTube Studio, so game capture is going to work. Alt enter. Load. Hope I didn't fuck it up. There we go. This took it a minute. But yeah, it'll work. CachyOS will work for this just fine. So this will work. So I'm going to go and just hit OK on this. Let me go and close this out. But if we go to the repo, type in Flatpak. Flatpak is already in the repos. So anything that you really need, you could just load. You could just pull it up in the repos. Like if I need to get something like Rust up's there. If I need to get something like Cargo's there. ATM multi-stream's not there. I'm assuming since it is the package, you can just go in and just drop the plugin in there. Since it is a native package. So I'm pretty sure OBS is a native package. Yeah, it is. I think it uses the... Well, you can also use the OBS Studio browser. Yeah. So yeah, you have the browser as well. So yeah, you have a lot of things you can use with this, and this is why CachyOS is good, because it gives you everything that you need. You know, with everything that you could use. I wonder if this has the Google. Close. Yes, it does. It does have the Google close cap. I'm gonna click. Closed captions? Oh, like, will that install it for OBS, though? I'll be very surprised if it does. If it does, I could just switch my computer over to the Cachy. I don't know. I'll think about it. But, like, let's go ahead and just close OBS and reopen it. I'm just curious about this. Okay, let's go ahead and install the OBS browser real quick. Because we need to have, like, docs and stuff like that. I'm just curious about this, because it's game-changing if that's true. Browser... Oh. The same shit. Anyways, pull up OBS. It could be also because of Wayland. Settings. Yeah, it's because this is on Wayland, because this is already on Wayland, has Wayland support already. It doesn't matter, it would still work regardless. You just have to have the plugin. Pretty certain if I go to your settings folder, yeah, you'll have like plugins. .config. Yeah, I mean, it would be about the same. So let me go ahead and pull up the files so we can get this properly put in here. So we're gonna go ahead and install files, browse, YouTube Studio data, streaming assets, and I'm gonna go ahead and find this. We're gonna drag and drop this in the streaming assets. I'm going to move it there. Now that's gonna work just fine. So I'm gonna close this, close that, hit launch again. We're gonna find a VTube model that we're gonna use for VTube Studio for this one. Okay, so if you're starting out, you don't actually have to buy any models. You can actually go to the Steam Workshop, download a model, hit select, search, and you could choose the model that you want. So for this video, we're gonna choose Bocce the Rock. Why not? So it's finished. So we're gonna go and double click. We're gonna see if it shows up on our list. Take it a bit to... There it is. So we're gonna grab Bocce. And, you know, it's a very basic model. But this should show you how some things should work. So now we're going to click on settings. We're going to turn the camera on. Hit calibrate. Now we have a working Bocce the Rock model. So it's a free model you can use. I do recommend if you're starting out and you're getting into VTubing that you can at least do this. And we're going to do a few other things too. We're going to go ahead and go to the background. We're going to go to color picker. Transparent and capture, and hit X on this, and now we're good on this. Now eventually Spout 2 will end up coming to Linux, but we already see that this is currently working, because game capture does work how it's intended to. So if you wanted to VTube on Linux, you can, and you definitely can do this on CachyOS. Now let's go ahead and take a look at another program. So this other program that we're going to look at, we're going to stop VTube Studio. I'm going to go ahead and add a program to the environment. So we're going to add a non-Steam game. Browse. Go to our downloads folder in this case. Hit open. Add selected programs. Go ahead and where it says installed only, click on the cog. Go to properties. We're going to go ahead and grab the launch options from the guide because it's going to be the same premise. So grab those launch options. That will work. Control V. Hit on compatibility mode. And since it's like this, I mean, you could use Proton Experimental. Now let's go ahead and launch VSeeFace. And VSeeFace should launch just fine, because it works in Proton. It is the most basic 3D application that you could... I don't know why it fucking crashed. Let's change this shit. Let's change it from Proton Experiment. Let's use the CachyOS. Yeah, let's try that. Not sure why this crashed. It's very interesting and weird if that is the case. Normally it wouldn't do that. But it might be just like some weird thing going on. Try to... properties... Try to change up the Proton 9 as well. If not, we'll grab a GE Proton version and it will just start working. There we go. DC face is here. Okay. So now it's all pulled up. Now this will work here just fine. So click on OpenC face tracking. You know, you could choose your camera. You can hit start. Then it will start tracking everything. Click on mirror motion. And then you'll start to see everything move around. Granted, it's a laptop. It's not going to give me the best FPS, but it does work. So if I go here, it's also showing up in OBS Studio. You know, how it's intended to. You know, granted that it is a little weird moving things around, considering it's a laptop, it is still very possible to use. Granted, you want to make sure and take a look at what kind of hardware you have. Now, you know, if you want the bare minimum and you want to still VTube, you can actually do a thing and use, actually I can close this out too. You can actually use a PNG tuber program. This will support both PNGs and GIF PNGs. And you want to make sure that you have everything selected correctly. We're going to go ahead and just use the supplied one here. We can go ahead and click on the microphone that we're using. You can actually adjust everything here as well. And this will make it to where, you know, you're able to use it. If you don't select anything, it will, of course, you know, show a transparency. And you're like, well, how do I get this to work? Well, what you can do is you can actually end up pulling up your screen capture because you're on Wayland. If you have window capture available on Xorg, you can use that. But if you need the screen capture, you can. You can then grab the window that you're using, click on VTube Studio Mini, OK, right click, hit filters, and then you can chroma key it. Then you can adjust the similarity so where it looks right. Hit close, and now you have your PNG tuber working. And your PNG tuber will work on Linux, just like that. So yeah, I would have to say that CachyOS has basically everything that you need for using a Linux distribution to get things started. CachyOS is in the same situation that PicaOS is in, to where you're basically giving everything. You know, PicaOS is a little bit more streamlined because it gives you everything out the gate with a better looking UI overall. But, you know, if you do a little bit of, you know, looking around, you know, with the things that you're looking at when you're exploring CachyOS, it does give you everything out of the box. Yeah, it includes Flatpaks. You know, due to human error, you know, I went ahead and used the terminal, but you could still just use the package manager, and that's all you really need to use is the package manager when you're using CachyOS. If you need to add things on your own, that's a different entire story on that, but it does happen to work, and it works pretty well. And I can see people use this for streaming and gaming. CachyOS in general is really good for gaming and streaming, so I would recommend it 100%. That's what I would do. And what you know, if I had to choose or switch to desktop, you know, if I had to, and it wasn't, you know, like, and if it wasn't like a big problem or a big issue, you know, because it does seem to launch app images pretty well too, so that's pretty much optimized for that. If I had to switch my streaming computer over to CachyOS, I could do that. I 100% could, and I might end up considering doing that myself. Just really depends. But, you know, it's something to consider later on. You know, I understand that I may have talked about some things that may not have been Linux related in this video, but they are genuinely issues with like these platforms. But don't make that take away from anything that I've said as far as like installing your distribution and get everything working. So yeah, CachyOS does work, and the internet is evil, but use Linux. And if you're having problems, come October, I have a Discord that you can actually go to. It's a tech support Discord. I can help you try to get things to work. There's also other users in there who might as well also provide you support when I'm not available. Also, I will be moving in November, so I would definitely appreciate any support I can get as far as any donations toward the Ko-Fi link, because I need to have a little bit of extra help, in my opinion, on top of me having to save money, to do everything. That way it can make things a little bit easier for me. Even if we don't hit the full 1,600, we can still, even an extra $100 would help. Anything would help with that. I do content creation for fun. At least right now, I have been doing this for years. I have also been updating the VTuber guide recently, and any support would be appreciated. If you are tired of watching things on YouTube, or you want to make sure, things are ad-free when you're watching my videos, you can watch them on Odyssey. You can watch them on PeerTube. YouTube would still help, but given their situation right now, it's definitely not creating good things for most creators for the long term. So that's why I'm also considering my other options as well. Even if it just all boils down to PeerTube in the end. So I hope you all have a good night. I am going to, go to bed. I've probably been already asleep by the end of this video, but I hope you have a good night. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to catch me during my streams, please check out the Twitch stream. Please check out the YouTube streams. I will be available then. I'll likely be streaming the very night that I post this video. Also, I do have, I have Twitter, I have Blue Sky, I have Reddit, stuff like that. So if you're able to, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Feel free to give me your questions if you have any, as far as using a Linux distribution or using CachyOS. This was a lot of fun to do. It is now 3 a.m. my time, and I hope you have a good night. Bye-bye.